Hello everyone and welcome back to Ironside casting with me, Matt. We're very free for you all here on Large Assault. It's on the Eastern Front. Let's go through the players. We have some Germans today. Excuse me, I still have issues with my throat dealing with the aftermath of the throat infection. We have Jan LOL XD as Strafdivision for die Wehrmacht. We have Sturm der Ravani as Sturmtactics for die Waffenfest. And finally, Smokey as Infantry Division for die Wehrmacht. Representing the search today, we have Arthas as Shock Division. We have Before Eagle as Artillery Division. And Kakabo, also a Shock Division. Arthas, my son. It's good to see Arthas around. I'm a big Warcraft fan, so that's a pretty big name to me. If you know the lore, of course. Let's see, we just have some units moving out. The first few shots have already been fired at the top of the town here. You can see how this battle turns out. Could become a pretty major battle zone, this one. Lots of urban potential up here. You have a little bit of a ruined castle here for infantry close quarters fighting. Down here you can often have a very static long-range firefight. Also the Germans are actually sending Volksgrenadiers up into the castle ruins. Try and secure it. There's also some conscripts waiting in the castle ruins already. And shots already being shot here. But the Soviets do control the castle at the moment. Molotov is being thrown. Oh, it's about to be thrown there. They're still throwing it. Oh, they're waiting. Germans gonna start making their way up the stairs. They'll soon counter one another. And there we go, the Volksgrenadiers are encountering now with the conscripts close quarters. Grenadiers are trying to get around the corner here. Balls are being thrown down the hallway. Button flashers being thrown. Oh, but it didn't go off and hit the wall. Grenadiers got mowed down there. So the Soviets still hold the castle. And outside the castle, the Germans are engaging with the Soviets here. The Waffenfest is slowly pushing up with the Sturm Grenadiers and Sturm Pioneers. And the Wehrmacht Infantry Division is fighting with the sappers in the northern part of the town. So far the Grenadiers are doing a pretty good job. Well, the Soviets are moving down from the castle now. Getting down for this little path to get around the Wehrmacht forces. Most Grenadiers are going to be engaged here. Looks like the Germans are going to suffer heavy losses and might lose this little village over here. Pioneers are going to do their best to hold here, but Molotov going into the building. And the sappers could also start moving up on this angle if they want to overrun them. Yeah, these sappers are about to be completely surrounded. Pioneers, I mean. The Waffen-SS is actually relocating Wallonian troops to try and help. And that's a dead Pioneer squad. Wallonian troops are heading down here. A cheap alternative you get if you're playing as Storm Tactics. And the Germans have managed to secure an orphan munitions point here. As the Maxim is arriving. So it's getting more fun to Viki to move inside the town. The Soviets have to be cautious that the Wallonians have arrived to supplement the Wehrmacht. Well, the Wehrmacht is slowly pressing up here. Pioneers are pinned down in this area. Maxim could be a problem. Also, let's get inside the building here for some more shots on the Fontaviki. Molotov being thrown. Grenadiers sitting up behind the stone wall here. They got some good angles. Wehrmacht does have an MG34 now for the southern flank. The Soviets are bringing up more equipment. No one is going for the castle again. MG34 sitting up down here of all places. Hopefully they have an angle for the machine gun itself. But the Germans do have heavy cover here. Germans are advancing on the northern part here, but the Maxim is still waiting around in ambush. They can spot the Regal mine being laid here. But Maxim opens up and kills the Pioneer squad. And then decides to retreat. Schumann being completed by the Grenadier. Several mortars now arriving for the Soviet Union to start bombing the German positions. And more Frontoviki arriving with their PPSHs. Well, the Wehrmacht is advancing down here, able to throw brand flashes on the building and a Stillhandgranate. Forcing the Soviets further back. MT-34 sitting up behind the stone wall here. Now they'll start laying down some suppressive fire. Looks like the Germans have managed to also take the castle with the Wallonian squad moving up there. And the Mthis is having a long-range firefight with the Soviets in the center. Shock troopers arriving here for the Soviet Union now. Try and move into the town. There's the MG back here. To provide good covering fire. It's an MG-42. Subtle charge being thrown. It's going to deny that structure. Completely demolishing the structure entirely. And well, we also have shock troopers arriving on the southern flank here for the Soviet Union. Need to be cautious. Grenade being thrown inside the building. Okay, their PPSHs are now fully upgraded on it. But of course, gonna slowly push up. Board age being established here by the Soviet Union, probably not the best position to do it. Especially not with a squad that's about to be killed. But they do get it up, so they can actually start to reinforce here. So the Soviets are pressing on the center again, securing the little graveyard here. We have a Hanomag half-track arriving here for the Germans as well. The Wehrmacht might be able to get some more equipment out to help facilitate their holding. Your troopers are also around still. MT-42 is getting a good spot up there. As the Wehrmacht sends more troops inside the town, including some Volksgrenadiers with Sturmgewehrs. Unique upgrade to the Volksgrenadier if you're playing on as Infantry Division. Wallonians are fighting back some conscripts inside the castle. More conscripts are coming in. I think the Stone Wallonian might want to consider withdrawing. Holding the sandbags that was laid there. And the lone Wallonian gets completely mowed down by the conscripts as they secure the castle again. But more Volksgrenadiers going inside with MP40s. They might have some close range firefights here in the castle ruins. Still Stillhandgranate help secure the point. And the Soviets are running out of the castle. So the Volksgrenadiers have managed to push them out. D70 being called onto the field for one of the Soviet players. Looks like we have a Waffen-SS mortar doing some counter barraging. Having a little bit of an artillery duel here. Sturm Pioneers now working to secure the graveyard. The Soviets still have the forward HQ with a Dushka getting up inside one of the structures. EBSH is being upgraded here on the shock troopers, which can really improve the lethality. More Wallonians called in. This is the battle group of Ryans. Arrives with 2 MP-34s. Like it's 2 squads with 2 MP-34s already, so a lot of submachine guns very quickly. I believe the MP-34 was quite popular amongst the Waffen-SS. Staff troops have been able to try and hold the castle, but they're dealing with shock troopers and conscripts inside the place. Shock troopers are just waiting in an ambush position up here. Conscripts are waiting around. Infantry are rushing up for the building here. So we're gonna have a mechanized assault push. But the T-70 is arriving. Staff troops and Valonians are inside the town. Shock troopers are being forced to retreat. They're gonna retreat through the German line. Oh, that's not good. Oh, yeah, that's a big loss there for the Soviet Union. Shock troopers are pushing through the center though, destroying one of the walls of the graveyard. Church is now in Soviet hands, with some Infantry holding it. Wehrmacht Infantry Division is holding up here with a commander bunker. And a small dirt bunker set up as well. Rifle clears out the machine gun there. It's just T-70 holding the southern flank now in the Sapper squad. Which is not going to hold for long, I reckon. We have some penal troops arriving here for the Soviet Union. Unique to artillery commander. 9-man squad, which makes them stand out a fair bit. They basically fodder infantry, you can just run into the enemy. Also have to do dangerous tasks. They do have a lieutenant near them though. So he's gonna try and oversee the front line himself. But the Valonians will spot them heading inside the castle ruins. They're charging inside though. Another Valonian squad with MP-34 force are waiting inside. Throwing an instagrade, but it hits the wall! And that's the Valonian squad. It looks like the Straftroopen and some Volksgelehrte are being pushed into the castle. Try and fight back against the Soviets. We have a lot of firefights going on amongst the ruins here. One flash is being thrown. Subtle charge is being tossed. But Germans are withdrawing. Yeah, well, the Germans also tried to push up here, but took some losses by the looks of it. Pack 40 arriving here for the Germans, manned by some penal troopers, some Straftroopen. So the Soviets are going to try and get around. Your military police on the ground here at the Kettenhunde. Double shock troopers have been called in. But the Soviets are getting behind the line. I don't think the penal troopers can decapture points anymore. I personally think it's because they got the Scorched Earth ability now. Which honestly I think they should still be able to decapture points because Straftroopen should be some you throw at a contested area in my own opinion. Infantry force setting up. Malta being thrown. The penal troopers will do some damage, as you can see, but they do get mowed down rapid succession. Lieutenant is not going to get out of there, I think. Yeah, Kettenhunde is mowing him down in retreat. I like the lighting on this map. It's got some very good evening lighting. Infantry Force 76 on the northern flank. Germans have set up a pack though. Also got some stormtroopers on the field here. PPSAs are ripping into them though. They do manage to get a grenade off. Ooh, doing a decent job too with it. Grenades being exchanged. It's a great assault. Killed the whole squad, I think. Fuel airdrop arriving here for the Soviets. Actually, it's a munitions airdrop. It's just being cast on the fuel point. F1 command tank arriving here for the Waffen-SS, using high explosive shells only, which actually makes it kinda underappreciated, I think. Because having a command tank that can just fire high explosive shells is surprisingly useful. Another Dushka arriving here for the Soviet Union in the center. Soviets are having some issues with dealing with the enemy tank at the moment. Also, it looks like the high explosive shells cannot really hit over the hill here that easily. Bunker being dug in here by the Soviets. The southern flank is now firmly in German hands.
Manufacturing capability has been increased.
With a shock trooper waiting inside the castle ruins, the Germans are preparing to move in. Kettenhunde at the head. They'll engage with the Soviets here shortly. And the Kettenhunde have to retreat immediately. Oh, grenades hit the walls inside the castle. Ooh. Yeah, it's not the best place to throw grenades. Bunker's now being hit by the MG-34 inside the building. He's somebody in the center here. Shock troopers are definitely having some issues. And the Straf troops cannot catch the territory either because they have the scorched earth ability. Said, oh, I think the shock troopers took some heavy losses there from the command tank. High explosive rounds are deadly if they hit infantry formations. The Soviets are pushing on the north the best they can. T-34 is in the lead here. If they can clear out that pack team. And they can. High explosive round being loaded. Didn't do much damage there, just hit the wall. Soviets are taking heavy losses here. It says there's shock trooper, yep, ripped apart by the MG. Stormtroopers rushing forwards, they're going to try and Panzerfaust it. The T-54 just pulls backwards. Possibly has grabbed the pack while this is going on. Good play there from Smokey. Repulse that Soviet assault. You know, the center, we have a lot more fuel drops going on. Munitions drops, I mean. And T-54 is now arriving here for the center force as well. Castle's in the Soviet hands. Shock trooper squad is holding it, but the Germans are keeping an eye on the gates. They might prepare to probe the castle again. And the squad decides to prepare to move in. Oh, they're laying mines. That's actually smart. They're going to try and make it harder to get out of the castle. Valonians are pushing forwards with some armored supports. They're moving into the castle from the north. Hopefully the shock troopers can spot them here because of the side blockers. One guy can. Insta-grenade being thrown. Overthrew. One squad being suppressed. On Insta-grenade do some damage. But shock troopers are pretty good with infantry, as you can see. Oh, I don't think the Valonians might not do that. Ooh. Reloading going on. They're moving down the survivors. One last guy. And he wins out. Also, Fossley has been moving into help just in case. Lots of mortar shells being tossed here. Sounds like some, or looked like some PPSH to upgrade here on the Storm Pioneers for the penal troops. Germans actually captured a lot of PPSHs and even began converting them to using German ammunition. Germans were very fond of the PPSH when they got their hands on it. Because Germans in general actually were a little bit behind when it comes to supplying their troops with submachine guns compared to most other nations. They're relying a lot on their Kar-98s and the MG. Also, when the Sturmgewehr got developed, they kind of switched production over to that rather than the MP40s. More peel troopers are holding on here. Not peel troopers, I mean shock troopers. But they're fighting Straftroopen here. Brandflasche being thrown. You know, the Germans are holding the southern flank of the river here pretty well. To the banks of the river, I suppose. So it's securing the central munitions point again. Be a little bit expensive for them to do. Oh, my ear is hurting a little bit, I'm sorry. It's not easy recovering from an illness, especially not an illness like this. I've never been so sick before. This gun is good enough to turn to force that command tank back after taking another shot. Well, the sappers are trying to clear the sandbags with a flamethrower. Well, that's a thing you can do.
Shock troops have arrived.
There's a lack of forces at the place now, but the Soviets don't know that. The throw a grenade just in case. Tank hunter's not going to do much to a Panzer IV in the front. With the PTS of all things. Now the assist gun could do some work if it can penetrate. But it's not guaranteed to penetrate after all. But they're just clearing out the sandbags here. You do have the clear cover ability, I think, which does the job a little bit faster. Germans moving into the castle here to try and disrupt. Prevent the sappers from doing their work here. They do have a flamethrower. Burning down the Straftroopen in quick succession. Great attempt here being used here by the Hettenhunde, but hits the wall. T-34 moving forwards. As the Soviets are prepared to secure the central point again. That was moving outside the castle walls for now. Need to be cautious wherever they move. And again, it hits the stone wall again. Like, this stone wall is very dangerous to throw grenades against. Sturmgewehrs on the Sturm Pioneers in the center. T-54 pushing up. So for the German tanks to be fairly lucky with their side skirts. Panzer IV is holding on pretty admirably here actually. Oh, now assist gun penetrated. So it's having issues pushing up here. If they have windows on this end. Yeah, there's no windows on that end of the building. That's very unfortunate. And the force grenadiers just mow them down. We're not doing good here. The Soviets have lost a lot of their units. There's a heavy mortar team nearby, but for how long? And Molotov being thrown here, hitting the force grenadier. Doesn't the entire squad entirely by the looks of it, actually. Panzer IV trying to push up. It's going to get Panzerfausted by the tank hunters. There's also a Stu-42 behind it. Meanwhile, the Wehrmacht is slowly creeping up again. But they need some way to creep in safely. Meanwhile, the Soviets are assaulting pretty heavily in the center, dealing with some Panzer Grenadiers down with PPSHs. And an MG-34 inside the building. But the assist guns are being used as artillery pieces. Which is kind of one of their big advantages. They can be utilized as a secondary artillery battery. Or your primary artillery battery. They're actually pretty effective if they can hit their targets. They're actually hitting that building a lot. Yeah, the building is actually on fire. Impressive. Chuckshop was trying to take the castle ruins again. PPSH is ripping into the Grenadier rifle being fired. Does a good job there. But they have to pull back. While this is going on, the force grenadiers are able to advance to the southern flank here. Stu-42 arriving as well. Hettenhunde remains nearby observing. The Soviets have to suddenly focus on the southern flank here, I think. For the Germans just encircle them. this 242 can definitely deal with the armored infantry of these shock troopers. It just needs to stand still so it's actually accurate.
Our bunker can now accommodate an MG-42.
Oh, it could also just hit its own troops. Ooh. Oh, not looking good for that stew. Perhaps it really didn't like the military police. This one's arriving. Yeah, and the turret, although it doesn't have much of a turret to be honest. Manages to back off. We do have an IS-2 arriving on the northern flank for the Soviet Union. Howitzer's been set up here by the Soviet Artillery Division. It's immediately going into counter battery mode. The Soviets are relocating their armored forces. Second howitzer being established in the vineyards. Infantry force preparing to push forwards. Not Infantry force, I mean Panzer 4 and Stu. Taking out the bunker there. But they are not expecting an IS-2, I think. But now it reveals itself. And with that, I believe the Germans realize they might have to get the hell out of there. Heat round is being loaded by the Stu. Does absolutely nothing. The frontal armor is just too much in the IS. The stormtroopers are not going to get out of there, I think. Nope. While this is going on, the Soviets are preparing a counter-assault down here. Along the banks of the river. And so far the castle is not held by anyone at the moment. Both sides are reluctant to move into its ruins. Lots of shock troopers have amassed here. Holy shit, that's just a lot of expensive infantry. They're laying down a lot of fire here in the German infantry.
The forward structure under attack.
Bonger's almost gone. MT-34 has to pull back to a better position here. Howitzer's being established, but it's going to be very close to the front.
Forward installations.
More shock troopers are pushing up. Well, they're using these Stu to fire close range here. The castles also fall to the Soviets, as the sappers are trying to push out here, but they don't know there's Tumi in on the gates. Lots of shots are being exchanged here. Well, this is going on the Soviets. This line is also just keeping an eye on the front. Lots of panzer forces are being amassed. IS-2's not making a move yet. They probably know there's an 88 up there, which can actually deal with the IS-2. Shock troopers doing a lot of work. Cis guns also opening fire. Shumin activating as the Soviets try to flank out with the sabers. Hedlund is setting up to try and stop them. Mowing them down with their Sturmgewehrs. Great though. Does a good job almost killing them. Big explosion in the center, followed by a panzer push. Here they come. That was from the Sturmtiger actually. I missed that. There was actually Sturmtiger on the field. And the panzer forces are now ripping into the front line of the Soviet Union. That's a lot of panzers. That IS-2 has to turn around quick. That is a lot of panzers. IS-2 now shows itself here, but that is a lot of guns pointed at it. Oh, engine burning. All it takes is like a few shells to penetrate. All the heat rounds are not hitting though. Another shot penetrated. And there it goes, IS-2 is down. The Panzer forces just overrunning the Soviet positions. I think the Soviets are in for it now. I don't think they can hold for much longer. Now the Panzer Grenadiers is also pushing up alongside them. The Panzer forces are clearing out all the Soviet forces inside the town. It's been a good maneuver here, bomb the German players. Coordinating themselves to push the Soviets back like this. One more shock troopers are arriving. That's a lot of shock troopers for the Soviet side. We also have an IS-2 from the other Soviet player. But an awful Soviet flank is completely collapsing. The southern flank, there's a lot of movement, but the Germans are getting more defense positions. Artillery being called in here. That's from the Sturmtiger. Aiming for the AT guns, probably a smart move, all things considered. IS-2 is pushing forwards now. Not a lot to stop it here in the center. But they need to deal with these Panzer IVs and the Stu that's still causing issues up here. But at this point, the Soviets surrender. Good match, not too long, and I appreciate that for my throat's sake. I hope you all enjoyed this one. And I'll see you in the next one, everyone. Bye bye!